I know you don't mean to, but you're blocking my view. I know you got issues, but I got my shit too. I don't wanna be your therapy no more, no more. You don't wanna hear this, but it's you, it's not me. Ooh, gotta go and grab a spoon now. Ooh, make a life for myself. Ooh, I don't know what I'ma do now. Ooh, but I don't need your help. Get out of my way, my way. I'm moving on up. Don't make me stay, to stay. I'm done being stuck. Get out of my way, my way. I'm moving on up. So the last thing I will ever do for you is wish you the best of luck. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Catch you on the flip side. Maybe we can be friends when you're not so fragile. When you know yourself well. Tell me down the sweet life. When I do things for me, 'cause I don't wanna be your therapy. I wanna be free, so ooh, gotta go and grab a spoon now. Ooh, make a life for myself. Ooh, I don't know what I'ma do now. Ooh, but I don't need your help. Get out of my way, my way. I'm moving on up. Don't make me stay, to stay. I'm done being stuck. Get out of my way, my way. I'm moving on up. So the last thing I will ever do for you is wish you the best of luck. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, I know, you know, it's time you let me go. Don't call, don't follow, 'cause I'll do it fine on my own. I know, you know, it's time I'll let you go. Don't call, don't follow, 'cause I'll be gone. Get out of my way, my way. I'm moving on up. Don't make me stay, to stay. I'm done being stuck. Get out of my way, my way. I'm moving on up. So the last thing I will ever do for you is wish you the best of luck. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Get out of my way, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Get out of my way.
I know you guys have played in front of a lot of celebrities, but what was it like to compete in front of royalty tonight? The Prince and Princess of Wales were in the building.
It was just a regular game to me.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or perhaps if you're down under, good evening, wherever you are. How is everyone? How do we feel? Yeah, a lot to say. I have a page and a half of notes on each episode. This review will be full of spoilers, by the way. So if you haven't yet watched it, just to let you know, there are going to be spoilers. And I will open the space up for calls if you do want to give your commentary. I will start off with mine first, and then you can join the live chat afterwards. Do you know what? I'll give you my overall analysis before I go in. I felt that if you are a squaddy, there was probably not a lot in this that was new to you. There were a few things that were a little new to me. But in general, I think in terms of telling their story, this I think was for the wider public who haven't been in this little bubble of ours to see this couple's story from their point of view, which I think is fair. I think it's just, especially when their story has been told through so many other people's mouths and so-called royal expert books and tabloid reports. I also think the most important thing about this all is that it just humanizes them. And you see that they are just, in fact, human. And the circus of the press can make you forget that. And I also think that the press media, so the tabloid media, and perhaps the palace, as usual, got into a panic really for nothing. Because ultimately, Harry and Meghan kept it classy. They kept it classy. There were things that were said where you could tell they were saying something. I'm not going to say shady, but they were trying to convey this was a problem, but they said it in a very classy way. And I'll get into that. And I think ultimately, what I saw in these first 3 episodes is two people who, despite everything that's been done to them by the press and within the firm, have found their grounding, found their happiness. And there was something I read some time ago on social, and it said something along the lines of your biggest healing when someone has tried to hurt you is to okay, wait, no, let me rewind. It said if you don't understand why somebody hurt you so much, it's because you're not them. And that's your healing. Yes, that was it. And that's what I see in this situation. Two people who are so consumed by their love for each other, their love for life, their love for giving back, their love for their work, that despite what has been done to them, they're not necessarily turning the other cheek, but they're handling it in the most gracious way. A way that I think takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of strength to meet your haters, to meet people who literally try to destroy you, look them in the face and just say, you tried, you failed, I'm still happy, I'm still here. And I'm angry and I'm not about it. And I guess it was also a reminder for me as someone in the squad, and I guess should be a reminder to us in general, that we should try not to be as like almost madder than Harry and Meghan about certain situations. Even though, having said that, there's a reason why so many of us did feel strongly about this whole situation. The way in which it played out was almost a mirror to what happens in society, and it happened at the heart of the British monarchy, at the heart of this institution with the history that it has. But that's my overall analysis, and I thought it was very well done, very well produced, and right, we'll say our welcomes, and then I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, and you can give me your opinions as well. Levy, can you breathe now? Yeah, I'm exhausted, but in a good way as well. I don't know if that's though just from being sleep deprived and being bad and bruised yesterday. Yes, Crotchet Queen, I've watched all 3 episodes. I put the speed up to like 1.5. I'd actually recommend that. Just get through it faster. Do you know what, the only criticism that I have of it is it did suffer from what I call Netflix drag. And this is something that I see in almost every Netflix documentary that I've seen. It's not just this one. It's a general problem with Netflix. They have what they call Netflix drag, where some points get dragged on longer than they need to be. But other than that, I thought it was very well put together. Yes, Karen, we're going to get into Samantha Markle, and you know what? The thing about Samantha Markle's daughter was the only thing that was a huge shock to me, and I'm going to get to that because wow. Valerie, you can breathe and you're exhausted. Yeah, Madwell, that was pretty heartbreaking when she talked about her niece not being invited to the wedding. But in general, episodes 1, 2, 3 were relatively light-hearted. Like there were a few bits that were sad. But it wasn't. There was nothing bombshell. Do you know who this is bombshell for? This is bombshell for the UK tabloids who have tried everything to dehumanize and make a circus of Harry and Meghan. It's a bombshell for them because the series humanizes them. That's who this is a bombshell for. And it does throw shade at the so-called royal experts. It doesn't actually name them, but it does throw shade at them. The only royal reporter out of the rota that was actually featured or that I saw was Chris Ship. You don't see Angela Latrine, you don't see Camilla Tominey as a liar, you don't see Vicky lost her eyelashes arbiter, even though she's not like official royal reporter, but you don't see her, you don't see Rihanna Mills, Roy Nika, and then kind of like the other leeches that kind of surrounds the royal rota, so like Dan Wooten, Piers Morgan, you don't see any of that. Yeah, Victoria, sorry, there's gonna be spoilers. There's gonna be spoilers, I'm afraid. Alright, let's get through your comments before we get to my detailed analysis. Yes, Doria is in it, and I'm glad she is. Yes, Valerie, a great example of how to deal with your haters. And it takes a lot of strength, to be honest with you. Even at the age of 32, I'm still learning to try and have more grace. Because the temptation to just be petty and want revenge when you're wronged is real. Let's be honest, we're human. I think I'm better at, the whole not wanting revenge part, but there's still a part of me that wants to be petty. So that's the part that I'm working on and trying to be more gracious in situations when someone has wronged me, because really and truly, success is the best revenge. I really do believe that. Going on and doing bigger and better things than what people who tried to drag you down thought you could do. Okay. Right. Our analysis. Right, episode 1. I'll grab my notes here. So, one of the things that we learn is that all of the interviews that were done by August the 22nd of this year. So August, September, October, November. So it's like 2-3 months ago. So that was that. Just so you can get a time frame of things. And they started documenting things pretty much as soon as they left at the advice of a friend. And I think this was great advice from the friend, because if this docuseries has taught me anything, it's the importance of telling your story and documenting it. Otherwise, other people will try and do it for you. And doing it in a way that it truly comes from you and not through others. Because we've seen with the situation with Diana, the way that they have tried to retell her story, have tried to minimize her own words. And Harry defends his mother in the Martin Bashir interview. He actually says in one part, she felt compelled to talk about it, i.e., the issues within the family, especially in that Panorama interview. I think we all know that she was deceived into giving the interview, but at the same time, she spoke the truth of her experience. And isn't that exactly what we've said on this podcast, on other platforms, other squad platforms? Is that at the end of the day, whether or not the Panorama interview was obtained legitimately or illegitimately, Diana would have said the exact same thing. And hats off to Harry for having the courage to say that. Because there was an attempt this year to try and get the footage removed from circulation. Now, I believe it's removed from circulation in the UK, but I don't know how far their powers stretch abroad. And in both this docuseries and in the HBO film, the recent one about Diana, the footage was used. So hats off to Harry, because they've really tried to erase this interview and erase what Diana said. Right, so we also learn about their early phases of the relationship, when they started dating, the way they were set up. It was through mutual friend, but through kind of Instagram as well. So very modern. The way a lot of people meet nowadays. And let me just go back a little bit. Yes, they would often fly back and forth to see each other. They went on a date in Botswana, and they actually got a lot of time together before the press got to the story, which I think was great. So they actually got to know each other without the noise. But then as soon as the story came out and the noise started, there was this just explosion of a circus. And they started playing clips of that time, and you hear the commentary, the sound of 1,000 hearts breaking, Harry's found his girl. And when you hear it back, like, you realize kind of how ridiculous it kind of was. And I do think that we will reflect on certain parts of tabloid culture one day and just think, oh my god, like, what were we doing? It wasn't that deep. Harry also says that there's so much of Meghan that's similar to his mum. He also he talks about his time in Lesotho. Nacho speaks. Of course, Nacho has pretty much been like a brother. You also see Serena Williams briefly in one of the episodes. You learn about some of the things that the paparazzi were doing. They had a live stream down her road. I don't know how that is even legal. And one of the other things that Meghan mentioned was that when she went to the police and she said, there's six men chasing me and stalking me. If this was a normal woman, wouldn't you be allowed to do something? And they basically told her no. And it's exactly the way that Meghan and Harry described these people, pirates with press cards. You shouldn't be allowed to stalk someone just because you have a camera and a press card. And in an age of journalists, in an age of citizen journalism, some of these people don't even have press cards. So it's like you're just allowed to stalk someone for photos and film just because they're famous and just because it's going to go on some gossip site somewhere. That shouldn't be allowed. And I think it must have been a shock to the system for Meghan, because in Canada, that kind of Hollywood celebrity, UK tabloid celebrity culture, it's not there, to the point where one of the set people from Suits said that they had to cage in the trailers. Wild. Didn't know about that. Another thing I liked about the first couple episodes is they go into Meghan's life before the royals. They talk about the TIG. They talk about, all her charity work. We see a little bit from the speech with the UN. You see the pictures of her with Obama, with Justin Trudeau, her work with One Young World. So I think really showing who she was before she entered the institute, I think that was just as important as them telling their love story. So that people see exactly who it is that Harry fell in love with and who she was before the tabloid media spun her into this monster. You also see a lot of unseen footage and pictures. We see a lot of Archie. We don't see Lily yet. But we see a lot of Archie. There he is, looking at Grandma Diana's picture in the backyard. There's this really funny clip where they're in the backyard and there's like hummingbirds, and like Archie just doesn't want to know. He's not interested. It's very cute. And we also hear from Mama Doria, and a lot of people suggested that she would say a word or two, and I'm glad she did. I don't know if she was totally excited about doing it, but I'm glad she did, because they tried so hard to dehumanize her as well and make her seem like it was, her side of the family that was going to be a mess. And Meghan addresses this. She said, as quoted by Omid, the UK media wanted my mum's side of the family to be the ones that all this drama could be stirred up with. And then you have my mum, who's classy and quiet. And then you had the other side of my family that is just acting differently. And this is what I mean when I said earlier, they, throughout this documentary, say a lot of truths, but still in a classy way. So if it was my petty self talking, and I was Meghan, I'd be like, yeah, that messy ball of trash over there, they were being a mess, and it was my mum's side of the family that was keeping it classy. Harry also addressed the whole Nazi suit incident. And he said, it was one of the biggest mistakes in my life. I felt so ashamed afterwards. All I wanted to do was make it right. I spoke to the chief rabbi in London, which had a profound impact on me. I went to Berlin and spoke to Holocaust survivors. I learned from that. I'm so glad that that was included as well, because I actually wrote an article about this, and it got deleted because I pulled my blog down, and I'm going to repost that article on Medium at some point. But I spoke about the whole idea of accountability, and what does accountability look like when you do something wrong. And for me, I feel that accountability is growth, understanding what you did wrong. If you have hurt a particular person or a particular group of people, connecting with those communities and being open to discussion and learning more about what you can do to be a better person and an ally. And I think Harry has done that throughout his life, throughout his work. And so I'm glad that he didn't shy away from mentioning that. But shout out to Mama Doria. who said her 2 cents. She also spoke about how the Paps would follow her to work, how they just tried to paint her as some kind of criminal when she was just trying to go about her normal day-to-day life. And you know, you can see where Meghan gets her grace from. And I can't imagine what it was like for her seeing her daughter just be beat up in the press. She did I think it was a 5 or 10K run for suicide mission, and that really hits differently now, knowing what Meghan was going through and her suicidal ideations. Probably the most shocking part for me was the revelations about Samantha Markle's daughter. Now, this has actually been public knowledge for a while, but the media did such a good job of hiding it, and I joined the squad about 2 years late, so I didn't know this. This is new to me. This is bombshell to me. Maybe not to some of you all, but Meghan's niece, Samantha Markle's daughter, they are very close, and they connected and became very close friends. Pretty much sisters, more than auntie and niece, pretty much sisters. This is a screenshot from Meghan's old Instagram page. She says, "Oh, how I love my Ashleen. Always here for you, you beautiful, special, and deserving woman." And because of all of the dramas surrounding the wedding, they basically told Ashleen that she could not come. Now, what's so interesting is the amount of stories that were leaked and the rhetoric that was created about Meghan not inviting more members of her family or people that she knew. And this has been a running thing with the tabloids. Oh, Meghan, she dumps you like a hot potato. She dumps her friends, she dumps her family. And if Ashleen was told that maybe she shouldn't come, could it be likely that there were other people who were told either they can't come, or who were advised not to come because of family dramas, or because they may be a target of the press? But in Ashleen's case, it was because she is Samantha Markle's daughter, and because Samantha was acting a fool in the press, she was told, "No, you can't come." Which is weird to me, because wasn't Uncle Gary, Kate's uncle, that troublesome one who, I believe he's had assault charges, like drug deal charges against him? Was he not allowed to Kate and William's wedding? But because of something that Ashleen's mother said, she wasn't allowed to Meghan's wedding? Double standard much. But how heartbreaking for her, but lovely that she gets to tell her story. Lovely that her and Meghan are so close and connected, and that she's been so faithful and loyal to Meghan in a way that her own mother, Samantha Markle, has not been. And now it makes so much more sense why Samantha Markle is so bitter. And how interesting is it? I've seen a couple of Samantha Markle's interviews. She never mentions that Meghan is close with her daughter. So they really kept that one under wraps, because it paints a very different picture now, doesn't it? And I think there are going to be some people who maybe thought that Samantha was truly some kind of, victim, is most definitely the villain. Because how is it that your own daughter is so close with the half sister that you claim was horrible and princess pushy and all of this? It's because she's jealous that her daughter does not want a relationship with her. You also saw some other candid photos. This was the night before Harry and Meghan's relationship was announced, and she was with Eugenie and Eugenie's partner, and they went to a Halloween party all masked up. And I love this, like, super candid. Like, if you didn't know this was Meghan and Eugenie, you just think that these are just normal people having a good time at Halloween or at some kind of steampunk cosplay convention. So there was that. That was nice. And yes, one other very important thing. They did touch on colonialism. And Afua Hirsch, who has been a great defender of Meghan on many panels. There was one panel that went viral from Sky News where she talked about the issues of race within the royal family and how Meghan was being treated. And I'm glad that she was given space on this documentary to talk about colonialism and how a lot of the fortunes, great fortunes that Britain enjoys are because those fortunes were taken from colonies. And there were also other historians and commentators who spoke about the fact that, for example, Britain was paying reparations to slave owners. And Afua actually reposted on Instagram my tweet praising her and the filmmakers for including this conversation. Because if I'm completely honest, if they had not included this in the conversation, I would have been very disappointed by this documentary. And also James Holt, who is the is he one of the chairmen of Archwell or one of the top execs? He also said, with respect to the people that he works with, the whole idea of, you being in this family, you're anointed by God. How in this day and age can we still be um speaking in that way about people in this institution, that they're anointed by God? And so I think that's definitely gonna make some people clutch their pearls. But I think the whole idea of monarchy as fairy tale needs to just be done away with, because you have to consider how that fairy tale was built. It was a fairy tale for those that took, but not those who had taken away from them. And Harry and Meghan's relationship all happened, and this is something else that they talk about, with the backdrop of Brexit, with the backdrop of this rise in kind of far right nationalism, and having a new member of the royal family who was a person of color. All of that happened on the backdrop of that. And I think it's difficult to separate those two things. And when you look at the way that Meghan was treated in the press. And so, all in all, great 3 episodes. And I hope that, we can start to maybe finally have a more matured conversation about how we look at monarchy going forward. Because if we have this institution and it's not serving the public, what is the point of it? We pay all this money to these people to be torn apart in the press, to tear themselves apart. They're not particularly nice to each other. They're mostly miserable a lot of the time. So what is the point? Like, who's gaining? Who in this situation is gaining other than the press, who make a lot of money? Who's gaining? The public isn't gaining. The family clearly hate being in the institution. Some of them probably hate each other. And we're paying for it. We're paying for £100 million a year circus. There was also, before I get to your comments, there was also another thing that they did touch upon, and this whole idea of the monarchy being so inherent in Britishness. And I definitely don't agree with that because, is that then to say that Republicans or people that don't want a monarchy don't see themselves as British or they can't be proudly British? No, it just means that they take issue with this particular institution. And just because this particular institution is a great part of British history does not mean that they necessarily have to feel that it's a great part of their identity, especially if it mostly just operates to serve the establishment and not the normal working class. And with that, I think that is all I have to say about the first 3 episodes. I have talked enough. If anybody else would like to come up and talk, there is the link. But I will just take your comments now. And I have to scroll up quite a bit because you've said a lot. Hi everyone for joining. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. There's almost 600 of you now. I think there was only 300 in the morning. Oh god, we've got some trolls. We have some trolls in here. Thank you so much, Mo. I'll add some moderators. You can just put any animal emoji in the chat, and if I see that you're someone who's in here regularly, then I will make you a moderator. Right. Yes, Chiefy Dilly, Mama Dora is strong. You can see where Meghan gets her strength, indeed. Carter, yes, and it debunked the lies that she did nothing and had no friends. She had a full life pre-Harry, yes. That was another great thing that it did, showing her travels, and a lot of her friends spoke. And, just because somebody is very private and doesn't put everything out there, doesn't mean they don't have friends or a social life or things going on. Some people are just very private. And actually, before I get into your comments, the meltdown has already begun, folks. Look at this. This is Sarah Niggling Feeling Vine. Oh, and yes, she is having a meltdown because they put her headline, that famous headline, I have a niggling feeling about Harry and Meghan's relationship. They put that in the documentary, and she is having a meltdown, an absolute meltdown on social. Look at what she's posted. In the middle there, I wish I could have seen Meghan's face when she finds out that there was a Daily Mail journalist in that room. This is at the Ripple of Hope Awards. Well, there was a press pen, right? So there probably would have been a Daily Mail journalist in the room. And aren't you just telling on yourself and the Daily Fail that they are a horrible rag? And so are you to say that you feel that Meghan would have felt intimidated to know that there was a Daily Fail, a journalist in the room? Because in case you've forgotten, Mrs. Vine, she won her court case. Okay. And then she also tweeted, funny how they don't seem to be mind the banks of photographers when it suits their agenda. I don't think anybody minds banks of photographers when it's at an official event and they're working. There's nothing wrong with photographers being at an official event where we're working. There's everything wrong with photographers hounding you in your private space and in your private life. So, yeah, that's Sarah Vine, who should have been focusing on her own marriage, and she is now divorced. Too busy focusing on other people's marriages instead of her own. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to block a lot of people. Oh, thank you, mods. See, when the moderators, when you delete comments, it doesn't delete on my side. And then I go to delete the comment and then I see that it's already been deleted. So thank you. Valerie, you're saying you didn't know about the niece either. Yes, good. Meghan is a good person to reach out to her niece. I feel like this is such a release in so many ways because it just shows, you know what, Harry and Meghan are good. Harry and Meghan are good. It's been horrible to watch what's happened, but they're good. And so I think as a squad, we can be good too. We should, I think, after this, chill and just know that they're okay. The so-called royal reporters and the like are going to get what's coming to them, and we can focus more on what matters now going forward. Oh, there was also another part. Gosh, I almost forgot. How could I forget this? How could I forget this? So she spoke about, Meghan spoke about the family and, formalities. And she basically said, you'd expect that very formal way of being gets put away when you're away from the cameras and when you're at home with the family. But she said that external that kind of like external gosh, how would I describe, how does she word it now? Like the way in which they're so proper. Yes, okay, I'll put it like this. The way in which they're so proper in public, that's not just an external thing, it's internal as well, and it carries on even when the cameras are gone. So she, in a very classy way, basically, said that Kate and William are a bit cold. Because even when the cameras are off, that very formal way of being, it doesn't stop. And there's not much being a family in this family. All right, Rahini, I see you there. You can come up. Rahini?
Hi, Scotties.
Hey.
Duchess, you had me up since like 3 in the morning.
Really?
Because when you had your first podcast, it was 3:41, and I
Yeah.
set the alarm for when the docu-series dropped. So it was about an hour later. It dropped at 4. So I have just finished watching all 3. But it was shortened because while I'm talking to you, I'm stopping it, and me and Karen is doing commentary on it. It
Yeah.
it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. I do agree with you. It have that kind of Netflix kind of filler that wasn't really necessary. But that's kind of their way.
Yes, it is.
That's their way. So
it
you
is.
can't really do anything about that.
Yeah, it's a very Netflix thing.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if you, because my biggest takeaway actually has to do with the very last one,
hmm
the very the third episode, and that is the issue with Thomas,
Yes.
right? We now understand why Meghan has not gone to Thomas's side, because she recognized that as a trick he's done before. You realize that?
Yeah, because okay, so this is something else that I forgot to mention. Sorry. When they were texting back and forth with Thomas, so this is leading up to the wedding. There was a text that they got from Thomas Markle, which didn't sound like it was from Thomas, and they didn't trust that it was him, and they got very suspicious.
Yeah, but just the idea that sorry, that he lied to her, so he realized that he was lying to her. He did this thing for money, and in order to save face, because he knew he had to face her, I don't want to say miraculously, but he unfortunately had a illness in large quotations, right, that prevented him from coming. And imagine that you had to find out that your father is in the hospital by TMZ. That is absolutely horrible. So you fast forward to him allegedly having a stroke, right? and I'm supposed to come running. You've done this before, because remember the stroke, quote unquote, came when he was supposed to come to to the Jubilee, which probably meant he would have had to face her. He had to face her. He had to face Harry, right? And he couldn't. So she recognized what he's doing. This is why she probably hasn't seen him. And kudos to Mama Doria for not listening to him for her baby girl, because you could tell that she had some stuff to say. I don't know if she'd say more about him, because we kind of end on that kind of cliffhanger with the third one. Right? I don't know if she'll have more to say about that, but she was very classy. She didn't, a lot of I don't want to say baby mothers, they don't always have positive things to say about their children's father. And even when they're addressing him and his shortcomings, they're not very kind. But she was very classy, and she said, what kind of a parent does that? And Thomas's behavior really used to drive me up a wall, because, I'm a daddy's girl too. I am the youngest. And I could tell you, I was a spoiled brat. Like, there was nothing my dad would do to me. And particularly, just with the example of Piers Morgan's and his stalkerish behavior, there is no way on God's green earth that my father would have a meeting with Piers Morgan and not call him out, or one of my brothers, because she has a brother, one of my brothers climbing over the desk to grab at him, because my brother don't play. My brother is 5'2", but he'll bring you down. Because like you, he's into martial arts and something, and he has a couple of black belts. So he's not gonna play that game when it comes to his sister. So it really does irk me the way he behaves, and we could clearly see now, and we know that what she said is truthful, because she has receipts.
Yeah,
she
one
has
of
those text messages, and we could clearly see that up until that text message, when they realized that it wasn't him, he had a direct line to her.
Yeah, and one of the things that they allude to, but I go into more detail, is Jason Knopf. You see Jason Knopf twice, and they talk about the communications team, but I'm wondering if that's that whole situation with the Daily Fail and the briefing, that's clearly going to come in the next 3 episodes.
Well, yeah, because they kind of introduce us to Jason Knopf and his craziness. Yes. They introduce him. So I'm really hoping that I know I personally don't see it as petty, but I really hope we get a full description of Crygate, because I believe Crygate kind of was the beginning of the media onslaught. It was the beginning. It was like it opened the door to all of that. And I really hope she addressed that, and give us the full story. I don't care how it makes what's her face look, right? I don't really care. I want to get the full thing, and I have a feeling that if they probably know who leaked the story, and how dangerous it was going forward to him, and even with Samantha, right? It's so interesting that her mother said, we moved out when Meghan was 2. She doesn't have a relationship with Samantha. And Meghan said we didn't have a falling out, because we never had a relationship to have a falling out.
Yes.
But when she heard about a niece, she reached out to the niece and said, hey, look, I have a niece. That's kind of cool. Right?
Yeah.
Which is such a wonderful thing to do. And I loved it. And they are backtracking. And just like I suspected, they zeroed in on the media. And I have a feeling that the next 3, they're going to zero in on the trolls. So,
yes,
I'm loving it. Yeah. I'm loving it.
Oh, so thank you so much, Rahini. Avon, I will let you on, but you need to switch your camera off, hun. So you should see two buttons, one that says start cam and one that says mute. If you could just hit the one that says start cam and then your camera will turn off. Fantastic.
Okay.
Hello, Avon.
Well, hello. And as you can see, I'm Asian. I'm Asian American, by the way. A product of white colonialism. I would not be in the United States, but that's for another time. I just want to thank you for putting on this platform. I'm not someone that goes on social media. I didn't really get involved with Twitter until
Oh, Avon, you've gone a bit silent, hon. You want to just check your sound? Is your sound working, hon? Okay, let's try doing this.
I checked
Hello.
the sound.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't think the British royal family realized how they embarrassed themselves and showed what they showed was it's everyday racism, the thing that people of color we experience every day, the looks you get on the bus. So what they did was on a personal one-to-one. But what Meghan and Harry
Oh, I think you've cut out again, Avon. But yeah, I do agree with you. And what was one of the other things that was mentioned? Okay, it's completely and utterly slipped my mind now. But Avon, if you're able to come back on, um, please do try because I think you're about to make a very good point. But I'll just go to the comments while you're trying to sort out your sound. Victoria, you said the docuseries are like a slap in the face for those who told and wrote lies about H&M. Indeed. Avon, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Let's try again.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I'll just make it quick. What they showed a light on is structural racism, and they have hit the target on. We have to keep putting the word out there that the reason why the personal racism is allowed, or people show their face and do it publicly, like the royal family did, is because they have the support.
Oh, she's cut again. But now that she said that, I did remember the exact point that I was going to make before it slipped my mind. There's another part of the docuseries where they talk about that family member, Princess Margaret of Kent, who showed up to dinner with a blackamoor brooch. They actually do mention that. Avon, are you there now?
Yeah, so structural racism is what Meghan and Harry won the award from the Kennedys, and they earned it because you cannot fight racism if you just keep going after people. Like Ngozi Fulani said, you have to go after the institution. That means go after the laws, go after the norms, and I'm so glad that they won the award. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for calling in. And yes, they won the award for that, but they also won it for basically all the things also that they've been doing with Archwell. So I think it's I say that only because I feel like the UK press, in their very clickbaity headlines, have kind of spun this narrative of, oh, they've only won the award for the for their work on equality and structural racism, and that's not actually entirely true. It was for all of the work that they've put in to Archwell, and that includes things like World Central Kitchen that serve people in Puerto Rico and Ukraine, and also I think was it the flooding in Texas, the flooding or the storms, the Texas Women's Home Shelter, so many other things that Archwell has served as well. Karen, hello, how are you? And also, Karen, before you before you start, thank you so much for the text you sent me about the clip that leaked, or else I wouldn't have seen that.
Okay. You're welcome.
No
You're
worries.
welcome. I try to share as much as I get. So you're welcome. Oh my gosh. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. What a week. I am just on a high, and and I'm not coming down. Oh my gosh. Um, oh my gosh. I haven't watched the series yet because
Mhm.
it's haven't dropped, for me yet. I have a whole Netflix situation. But anyway, I've seen clips and stuff like that, and I'm, looking at Twitter and seeing all the stuff. So I'm getting a lot of the things that you guys are talking about. And as Rahini said, we were we were in conversation as it was going on. So she was going through it, and then she would be letting me know what's happening and what's going on in the different series and stuff like that. And we had this conversation before, and I did mention to you that this is how it's going to come out at the beginning. And I'm just loving this story because this is exactly what I wanted to see. I know there was a love story there, a nice old-fashioned love story, and I wanted to see that, and I want them to have that out in the world and open, because these are the stories that our young people need to know. Okay, that these things happen. People do fall in love. There's good times, and this is real, and this is something that you can have. And I'm so glad that they're able to put that out there, and people know that you can have this, you can gear yourself to have this. Young people coming up would see this for the rest, because it will be out there for anyone who's coming up in the future. And it's there, and I'm so loving it. And the shocking part is for me is in regards to the relationship with Samantha's daughter, and I'm so happy for that relationship. And I'm happy, and I really applaud Samantha's daughter, to standing her truth, whether it's your mother or your father. And it's basically the same thing, Prince Harry is doing and Meghan is doing, because right is right and wrong is wrong. And you should be able to call out the wrongs when it's happening, no matter who it is. Okay? Your mother, your father, your grandmother, whoever it is. You don't go around the place taking advantage of people and feeling that this is something that, you can do and get away with it. So I am so, proud of her, for doing that, because I'm that type of person. I don't care who you are, you don't hurt other people. Even if it's my enemy, you don't hurt them, because, everyone is a human being, and everyone is somebody else's child, and you do not do that. So I'm really, happy for that. And at least the little ones have this cousin in their life as well too, on her side, her side. So it's great. And I'm looking forward to seeing the whole thing. I'm glad that they're addressing stuff that we know of out there, and we knew that all the other stuff that was coming out from these tabloids were false. And I'm glad that they're addressing it in their own words and putting it out there in their own words, just like Diana did. And they're trying to cancel her, but also in this, Harry is keeping her alive, and he addressed that. He did it with when the BBC panorama thing came out with his statement, and he said what his mom said was truth, and he's doing it again, and he's doing it again, and I'm so glad for that. I am so glad for that. This guy, he does not disappoint me at all, and Meghan does not disappoint me. I'm glad that Mama Dorian is in there, because, and I knew that she would, because this documentary cannot be said without her having her piece, because she is the mother, and she did she was like had a front seat of what they're going through, and it's her child, and of course she's going to have an input on it. So, you know, I'm glad that she's able to, you know, to say what little she has to say, because, you know, people has to understand that I'm a mother, I feel, and I'm going to stand up for my kids, okay, and my son-in-law. So, you know, that's just about how it is, right? So
Indeed.
it's, you know, I am very happy about it, very, very happy about it.
And I will ask you, before you go, what
Mhm.
do you think we'll see in part 2?
In part 2, there's going to be a lot more, you know, a lot more addressing of, you know, all the things that has been said, and laying out the stories and how it's happened. And I think with what's because they're basically letting you know how things happened, right? And as they were moving on with their life. So even the bullying and all these different things, it's going to come into play, right? Because they're going to tell it in their own words as to how, you know, things transpire, right? And I think that the tabloids and the people who came out and talked their lies and called them bully and all these different stuff, even the crime thing she's going to address, because all these are things that was pointed at her and at them to pull, you know, to basically pull her down. And it has to be addressed. If that is not addressed, if those things don't get addressed with the truth, then there's no healing. Okay, because it would still be out there in the wonder, and and you can't heal because she would have something inside that she did not get to say. Okay, and you can't move forward unless you speak out and speak the truth, and just let it speak your truth, and leave it there, and let people do whatever they want with it. Okay, and everybody's going to, because even the tabloids are going to be starting calling out, falling among themselves, and calling out names and calling out people, because, you know, and she doesn't even have to do it. They're the ones who's going to be, you know, calling names, and even the
they're
politics is
already
going to be
backtracking
happening.
and everything.
They already start backtracking and calling and calling out, and even, you know, calling out one another, because I heard one of them on there saying that I don't know if is what is it, Tammy or whatever her name is, and when she was asked the question, well, you put out you printed information, you put out stuff out there, and the palace didn't do anything to, you know, any comments on it, and you just put it out there and it was left, and where did you get this information from? Because what you were putting out there was false. And I think it was Sky News that confronted her, and she started, she says, oh, but I don't think that is true, because there's different houses, and different houses are saying you know, different things, and, you know, it's like she was trying to backtrack and trying to, you know, justify what she's putting out there. But you can see the lies within her. So they're all getting catch up,
tangling herself up even more, and I think they're all gonna start doing that. But thank you so much, Karen, and thanks once again for your message. You too.
We'll talk later.
Bye.
Bye. Have a wonderful day, guys.
You too. All right, Educate You. Welcome to the chat, hon.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. What time is it where you are?
It is 7:38 a.m.
Okay, and have you watched the documentary?
I got into the second episode.
Okay, so you still got to the third.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think so far?
Interesting. Oh my God. I'm looking at this because I'm looking at TV also, but with Eugenie and Beatrice, is that why they're treating them so badly now? Because of their relationship with Harry and Meghan?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, because, you know, you get ostracized when you live in a closed community, and you go against the closed community, then you're ostracized, you know, and anybody who speaks to you, then the same thing can happen to you.
Yes.
Yeah, but also I was looking at, watching it, because I'm going to start it all over. I had to really take my time. But with the court cases coming up,
Mm-hmm.
The one with Prince Harry and Hugh Grant and the other actress and Elton John.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Samantha's case also. All this is happening in next month sometime.
Yeah.
These cases are going to be in 2023.
Oh, sorry. Just sorry to interrupt you. Also involved in that case is a mother, Stephen Lawrence, the black boy that was murdered, and
Yes.
the that the police messed up the case, and they actually did mention that in the documentary, and they showed when Harry and Meghan went to the funeral service for
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Lawrence. But sorry, educate you. Continue.
Yeah. The other one is a big case too because we spoke about this before with Fox News and the
Rupert Murdoch.
voting machines
Yeah.
with the Dominion, the company that's suing them for like $1.6 billion. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the judge just says that Latchman Murdoch has to testify
Wow.
in court.
I didn't know
Yes,
about that.
he has to testify in court, and it opens up to the next phase of discovery. So now they can have access to all the emails within the company related to that the fraudulent news about the voting machines.
Oh, well, hopefully that's an omen of what's to come with the other court case as well.
That's what I'm saying. It's like everything seems so very strategically placed,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they're building a case publicly at the same time they're doing it legally.
Okay. And was there anything about the docuseries that surprised you, or like for many squaddy, was it just a lot of it is what you knew and you were just happy to kind of see it elaborated a bit more? I mean, we got to see the proposal finally.
Yes, that was beautiful.
Very
And
sweet
also
and simple.
but there wasn't no meeting with Piers Morgan
Yeah, exactly.
and no text. Because to me, if that really happened, he would have pictures.
Yes.
Everybody would have pictures. There would be pictures of them at the bar or whatever. All of that is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Because she went there. She said she went there. She was already going to. She was already traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So she's coming there. She said, "I'm not." She didn't say she was coming there to meet somebody.
Mm. I just I can't even imagine a situation where Meghan would meet with Pierce privately because she had her own PR people at
Mm-hmm.
the time. So even before she got involved with the royals and the palace, surely somebody on her PR team would have said, "You probably don't want to meet with this Piers Morgan guy." But I just don't see her meeting with some random media guy like that
Yeah,
for any
especially him
reason.
and his reputation.
Yeah,
I'm not even famous, and I, what I'm saying. I wouldn't want
yeah,
to meet him
yeah,
just by what because he was on CNN a few years back.
yeah.
But it's great that they get the chance to say their story.
Mhm.
This is what we saw what happened on the outside, but now they're showing us what was going on from the inside.
Behind the scenes, yes.
And it's even worse than what we saw.
Yeah,
And it's like, how could it be worse? And it's like, oh my God, yes. And then the whole thing with the 1,000-year institution. The press is a 1,000-year institution also,
yes,
and they've been working with the monarchy as long as they've been there. It was the town crier. Because I
yeah,
looked up about the UK press
yeah.
going
Mr.
back
He
to like
He He He.
1600, and it's like so
Yeah,
convoluted. They are so, oh my goodness, entangled.
yeah. Because in the older days, it would have been the guy with the bell. He.
Hmm.
That's it. Also, can I just say thank you so much to Kellyanne for your wonderful comment. Thank you so much, and for your super sticker. Much appreciated, darling. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
such the relationship. From looking from the outside, looking in at the UK, that relationship is so close. And being as a monarch, they're there. We have like the president. He's there 4 years, no longer than 8.
mhm,
You know, so that connection is there, but it's not as tight as it is in the UK, because the monarchy is there. It's been there forever, and it's
Yeah.
so entwined in it. You can't get so entwined here because you got the next government that's coming in that has a totally different agenda, and a different way of doing things. So it's constantly evolving. It can't like get a total grip. It has a grip, but it doesn't have a total grip like it has in the UK.
Yes.
That's that was my observation. My thing is that the court cases that are coming up and how everything is unfolding, and calling out the names.
Yeah, they definitely need to name
Put a
names.
face on all of this.
Yes.
It needs to have a face.
I hope that we see Lord Rothermere's face and his name being said out loudly in part 3.
Yeah,
Sorry, in part 2.
they're what 1700? Like, you've been around doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, they're a whole dynasty.
Yes, and it's like, and they're all related down the line. They are all related by birth. They intermarry. It's just it's a interesting social structure.
Indeed. All right. Thank you so much, Educate You.
Okay.
Have a great day.
I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this this discussion.
Yes, thank you. Joe Blog, welcome to the chat. Joe, you are British, right?
Yes, I am.
Yes,
Hi, Anne. Hi,
okay.
squaddies. All I want to say is I am thankful and I am grateful that finally Harry and Meghan gets to tell Harry and Meghan's story from Harry and Meghan's lived experience. It's not about people who are not part of what happened projecting their estimations, suppositions, assumptions. It's not about that. What I really, really respect about Harry, Meghan, and everyone who has spoken so far, and those to come in the next 3 episodes, is that for the most part, they have sat back and watched in silence. And, it's a really lovely thing when you can let the noise go. And then once the noise stops, you get to speak. And what I really hope is that when we get to episode 8, a line is drawn in the sand. The chips will fall where they may. It's going to show a lot of things we squaddies already knew. And I am hoping that they use a lot of those video footage of all the quote unquote experts, royal experts, media, who kept repeating, and we have to pay really close attention to what's being said. Palace sources have said it's been leaked by palace sources, because there's going to be a lot of backpedaling. Well, it's already started. People trying to correct the narrative they had already put out. It's too late. I was watching an interview last week when someone was asking Vicky Arbiter what she thought about the upcoming Netflix. And I was really rather surprised, but not surprised, that she actually said, I really can't comment, or it's difficult to comment on something I haven't seen.
Finally.
And I kind of thought, a little bit late for that. It's a little too late. I just love the way it's constructed. And again, everyone assumed, and we keep coming back to the same thing. If you have done nothing wrong, you have nothing to fear.
Yeah.
And there were really, really important lessons being taught here. And I really hope and pray that those that are tuning in are actually listening. Listening not to react, but listening to learn and respond. Because all we've had is the projections, and we think it's going to be this, and we think it's going to be that. And we're seeing elements here that we've not seen before. But those who really, really care for Harry and Meghan would have felt it going on in the background. I think it was profoundly powerful that Doria was able to say what she had to say.
Yes.
I think it's really important, and it because it raises a lot of questions that we've just we've questioned, but others have just conveniently ignored. As a parent, what is your primary responsibility? To protect your child,
Protect your
to
child.
protect
Yes.
your offspring. And all these stories we've seen about she didn't invite any other family members and the father wasn't told and she this and she that. And like Meghan said, from that response, it's clear it wasn't my dad because he has never called me Meghan. And it's the
Yes.
little secrets, the little tidbits that we're going to be, if you're really paying attention, you're going to be
Yeah.
seeing. Um, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens after this.
Yes.
I'm a big dreamer, and I'm really hoping that once this is done, you know, people can get together, however that happens. I would probably recommend Zoom, put their cards on the table, agree to disagree, and just get on with their lives. I think
Yeah.
Harry and Meghan have far too many important things to do. And I really feel, apart from trying to discredit, dehumanize their character, this is trying to distract them from what they are really trying to do. There's a bigger picture here. This is way bigger than just Harry and Meghan. It's more about the changes that they're trying to make. And I think a lot of the people in positions, in power, with authority, with the ability to effect positive change, recognize
Yeah.
that they have not been doing that. I think when they saw Meghan's credentials at the beginning, it was thought, oh, brilliant, we can have her on board and it'll make the side look really good.
Yeah.
But
Or
hold on
make
a
it
minute.
look good. Look
Yeah,
good. But in terms
exactly.
of actual
Exactly.
change,
Exactly.
that
They're not
won't be
willing
there.
to change. And I think once they read, because it feels like, and I'm just saying this as an observer, it feels like whatever we can amass to make ourselves look good, that's what we will do. And it's something that I've heard before Meghan say, and I've heard other people say it. It's always about how it looks, not about how it
And not how it
feels or
feels.
the reality of how it is.
Yeah.
And once they recognize that Meghan wasn't about the status, she wasn't in awe of them or the institution. She was just a person trying to do good, having always done good. It was like, oh no, we can't have that. Because not only is she going to be overshadowing us, she's going to be
Mm.
drawing attention to things that we, if we really cared as the figurehead of the country, the Commonwealth, we should have been doing these things. And I have to say, I'm really, really disappointed in Charles, only because we've all got our faults, and I accept where we've seen flaws of his over the time. But it gets to a point where it's not about pointing fingers anymore. It's about looking back and thinking, actually, do you know what? I missed a really good opportunity. I messed up. I need to correct that. There's nothing wrong with having lessons if you're not learning from them. And I just thought, first of all, his primary concern would have been his ears, his child, and his grandchildren, his daughter, because they're essentially members of his family, but also
Yeah.
the good I can do in the world. You cannot talk about being environmentally friendly and having this deep connection with the Commonwealth, and you're sitting by and watching the tabloids decimate your son and his wife. The two don't
Yeah.
parallel. You cannot. They do not go hand in hand. And there is nothing that says you cannot protect Will and Kate and their children. That's the future of your monarchy. Don't have a problem with that. But you also can't throw Harry to the wolves and hope that he does nothing. Hope that he says nothing.
Mm.
Interestingly enough, there was a dinner hosted last night um, by King Charles. But no, I've heard no conversation about it overshadowing Harry and Meghan's big night. No one's raised the conversation that deliberately putting your coronation on the date of your grandson's birthday is overshadowing Archie. So I need to
Yeah.
put it out there and make it abundantly clear for all the trolls that are listening. Harry and Meghan are not about overshadowing anybody. Harry and Meghan are intelligent enough to know that the platform is big enough for everyone to shine. They are no longer part of the royal rota. They will always be part of the royal family. Don't get it twisted. You wanted them gone, they left. Now let them get on with their lives. They're not looking for publicity. They're not looking for PR. You just keep talking about them.
Yes.
And, going to America, William and Kate going to Boston, has nothing to do with Harry and Meghan being in California or going to New York. So again, this projection that they're going to overshadow, they're trying to overshadow. Well, at the end of the day, we're talking about a 1,000-year-old institution. Nothing should be able to overshadow that. Absolutely nothing. And if
If
you're
the
so
institution was still relevant.
exactly, but they will have to figure that out themselves, Anne. And all I see is just paranoia projected. They are paranoid. It's just
And and
absolutely.
also, the British tabloid media have the choice not to write about Harry and Meghan. They choose to do it
Absolutely.
because of the money that it
Absolutely.
generates. And they do this weird reverse psychology thing where it's like, Harry and Meghan are always talking, Harry and Meghan are always doing this, that, and the third. And when in fact, in terms of actual interviews where Harry or Meghan talks about the royal family, it was the Oprah interview and it was the more recent cut and variety interviews that um Meghan did, and also the Me You Can't See very briefly. So that's what, maybe 4 occasions in the last 2 years. So they're not always talking
No,
about
and
the royals. It's the press that are always talking about them, but they project
precisely,
this
precisely.
idea of, oh, Harry and Meghan are always talking, and then people um in
Bandwagon
turn,
onto that.
yeah,
Yeah,
bandwagon onto
yeah.
that.
And I think, I don't know what universe they're living in where they're expecting to be able to script their narratives about Harry and Meghan, but Harry and Meghan say nothing. Talk about the royal family, but Harry is never allowed to talk about his family because he decided, I cannot live in this environment anymore. It's not healthy for me and my family. We are going to remove ourselves. So he's never ever allowed to say anything about his family. I tell you what, Anne, deep down, I think Harry would be quite happy to never ever have to say anything about them again. The problem is,
Yeah.
it's not going to stop, as we can see, because it's
Yes.
going to be, well, it's, for instance, well, we've had no comment from Harry about the Queen's wishes for Camilla to be, well, why should Harry need to comment? Why? Why does he need to have a comment? Harry is not sitting there thinking, oh, well, Will's doing this, and Kate's doing this, and Papa's doing this, and Camilla's doing, so I have to have an opinion. Harry can have an opinion, but he respects the fact that he can hold it to himself. He doesn't need to put it out there. It's people who are seeking validation, and they're trying to validate their narrative on this woman.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been looking at the arguments coming up for the last couple of weeks about this Lady Hussey thing. And I read something today on LinkedIn with someone saying, oh, but she's just an 83-year-old woman and, with not much. I'm thinking, hold on a minute. She's an 83-year-old woman who has spent the last how many decades working in quite a serious role. If you don't know as yet how to conduct yourself, then there is a problem.
Yeah.
And maybe her mindset is fueled by the institution within which she is. Then again, it's like Pierce says, it's an institution who has a dodgy pass on race, and that's not Meghan's problem. They have to deal with that.
And also, I'm sorry, but I just don't take the whole, this person's old as an excuse, because if you're old, well, then you've lived through change. So
Enough
why
to
haven't
know.
you moved? Yes, why haven't you moved with the times? Why have you remained in one mindset? And this is something that, I'm very mindful of. And, I have a younger sister. She's 17 now. And, I have conversations with her and about her perspective. And even when we don't agree, I try to see things from her perspective and understand that she is from an up and coming generation. And it isn't
Mm.
always about agreeing. Sometimes it's just about hearing the other person's point of view, so you can see where other people are and understand that maybe the way something was when you were growing up isn't how it is now.
And I think, and isn't that how we learn and grow?
Yeah.
I respect your right to your opinion, and we can
Yeah.
agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And this whole argument about, oh, we weren't racist towards Meghan because we don't see color. And my first thing is, I see color. I embrace it, and I celebrate the differences. And I always get really knocked when people say to me, oh, but Joe, we don't see color. Well, if you don't see color, you cannot see what I face. Not only can you not see what I face, you're diminishing my experiences. You're saying, oh, well, I can't see it, so it really doesn't matter. But at some point, we have to open our eyes and see it for what it is. And it tells me lots of things. It tells me that they're either not really aware of the British history or they're aware of it. But we're going to bury our heads in the sand, put our fingers in our ears, sing the La La song, and pretend it's not really happening. Harry is showing day to day how he's learning, he's growing, and I think that is the fear. That is the fear that he is going to be better than us. But here's the thing, Harry and Meghan are not in a competition. And if there are, they're competing with themselves to be better people than they were yesterday.
Yes.
We keep hearing about the tradition, and how can something that's so ingrained in a society and so traditional be so fearful? I keep asking this question but never getting the answer of this one lone woman. Okay,
Yeah, and
what is it that you saw in her in the beginning that you thought, oh, brilliant, we loved her? What is it you saw?
yeah.
Let's strip it back. What is it that you saw that you thought, oh gosh, we really like her? Because you must have seen something.
Do you know what?
And
Again, it's what you were saying earlier. I think they saw an opportunity to look progressive, but then as soon as she became more popular, that became an issue. And I also, sorry, because I just remembered, wanted to touch on something else that was said by a young black girl in the documentary, where she said, this was a young schoolgirl, and she said, well, you know, maybe now that Meghan's in the royal family, that, I think I have it on a slide. Let me just put it up. Yeah, she said that there was a young black schoolgirl who said she hoped that Meghan joining the royal family would, you know, change people's minds, and that obviously for some people it hadn't. And I wanted to touch on this just because I feel like sometimes we get so stuck on the symbology of something, and that symbology doesn't necessarily mean that there is actual change. And while I felt it was a good thing to see, hopefully someone welcomed into this institution when Meghan first started dating Harry, I was under no illusion whatsoever that that would necessarily mean that the whole landscape would change.
of
I think
course,
that's a very naive view. It's a viewpoint that I've seen a lot, but I think it's very naive because actually when you look at it, it's Harry's the person that has grown. It's Harry's the person that has chosen love and chosen to love this biracial woman. It's Harry. It's not the institution, it's not his family, and it's not necessarily society as a whole. So I just wanted to touch on that because it's something
yeah.
that I've heard like quite a lot about, you know, how for some, you know, people of color, for some black people, it was, you know,
The
this huge
expectation that it
kind
would
of,
change overnight.
yeah, the whole expectation. And I've always felt that that was just a little bit wishful
And
thinking.
I think also on lots of levels, Harry has made a lot of people feel uncomfortable because he comes from an institution, and I think he alluded to this in the, I think it's the first segment, and I know he said it before, and we've observed it. They marry out of duty.
Yeah.
He has married out of love. And love can take years to blossom. Love can also blossom overnight. And it's not just that he's married for love. He is so proud of the woman he's married to. He is willing to step up and be a gentleman by opening and closing a door for her, by ensuring she exits a vehicle in the correct way, by ensuring the simplest of things, Anne, that she's covered with an umbrella. And if you can't relate on a basic level, then I'm sorry, all the formalities count for zilch because you are literally just putting on a show.
So
You're just putting on a show. And at some point, the mask has to and will come off. I mean, you know, I think of all the young people that's been following this story for the last how many years it's been going. I cannot think of any young person, male or female, who is fantasizing about growing up and marrying a prince or a princess.
no.
But I can think of a lot of young people, particularly young women, who were growing up and thinking, I want to be ambitious, I want to be a woman of substance, I want to stand for something, I want to have a voice, I want to be heard, I want to represent change, I want to effect change. And when they look at two main women in this scenario, Kate and Meghan, who will they most likely identify with? It's Meghan. I want to face challenges, learn from them, and progress and grow. And, you know, Kate has signed up for what she signed up for. That is her choice. That is her choice to be mute and cute because it gives her the status she's looking for. I'm not going to take that away from her. That's her choice. But also remember, when you make choices, you have responsibilities. And I am just hoping that she can set a really good responsibility and an example for her daughter when she's growing up, because she's going to be looking and seeing and learning. And if she's got nieces or friends with young children, they're also going to be looking and learning and thinking, well, actually, we're not all going to be marrying princes, but what can we learn from her? And, you know, my grandmother always said something: you stand for something or you fall for anything. And I just really hoped that Charles, and for what their positions represent, if you're thinking of being thinking forward and growing and progressing, isn't progress about embracing change? Isn't that a fundamental part of progress, embracing change?
Yes.
Now you're trying to repackage your wife and sell her as this ideal, and that may appeal to some people. But on the other hand, your son is doing exactly the same thing, except he's not trying to resell Meghan as anything. He's just showing you who she is. But is that change too much for you? And why do you have to feel that she's trying to compete with you? I think what's at the heart of the anger in the British society and the establishment and their cohorts is that there's somebody who came in who we felt didn't deserve to be in this position. She didn't deserve to go straight to the top of the chain. Nonetheless, she did. And she was there and she proved herself. And her husband realized, actually, this isn't the environment for myself and my family to progress and be healthy. So I need to remove her. And the fact that she was okay with walking away from it and going, no, don't need it, I'm gone. That's what's really grating at their goat. It's the fact that she didn't do stiff upper lip, stick it out, and think, well, I'm going to stick it out. No, actually, like Mum says, pretty isn't always pretty. Pretty can be pretty ugly sometimes. And I think that's what's really angering people, that how very dare she walk away from us? How very dare she say we're not good enough for her?
Yeah, but she did, and here she is, despite everything that was thrown for her, the living, breathing version
Getting
of
better.
And Still I Rise. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say And Still I Rise, but thank you so much, Joe Blogs.
Yeah.
You've had wonderful commentary. Everybody has had wonderful commentary.
Yeah, keep up the good work. Just keep up the good work, and let's just brace ourselves for next week. Like I said, I hope that steep learning curve is taken, and people learn from it. Because in order to grow, you have to be learning.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Joe.
You take care, Anne. Bye.
Bye. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am actually gonna go and take like a 1 hour nap or something because I do not feel rested at all. I've been up since so early, barely got any rest, and my brain just hasn't switched off. So I'm gonna go take a nap. I do obviously have my theatre show this evening. The evening podcast is still scheduled, and we'll see what the reaction is throughout the day, and then we hopefully, if I'm not exhausted after the theatre show, 11:30 UK time, we can have a chat and reflect on the UK and just in general the media's reaction, but particularly the tabloids, because I think they are feeling the heat. And even when I went to Sarah Vine's comments where she's been, having a meltdown, all of the responses, all of the retweets were like, girl, sit down. So all in all, great start to this series, and it'll be interesting to see how it ends. And Church Nelly, I will give you I'll give you the second last word of the day because I saw another one that I really liked as well. But yes, have a great morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. But Arkelian, before I give you the last word of the day, I need to thank Elaine Parker for the super sticker and Alice Langdon for the super chat as well. Great review. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the docuseries yourself. All right, now I can give the last word of the day to Arkelian, because I thought it was really, really nice what you said. You said, you have the right to remove yourself from a toxic environment. That's what Harry and Meghan did. Kudos to them and kudos to all of us. I will see you later, guys and dolls. Ciao.
I know you don't mean to, but you're blocking my view. I know you got issues, but I got my shit too. I don't wanna be your therapy no more. You don't wanna hear this, but it's you, it's not me. Ooh, gotta go and grab a stool now. Ooh, make a life for myself. Ooh, I don't know what I'ma do now. Ooh, but I don't need your help. Get out of my way, I'm moving on up. Don't make me stay, I'm done being stuck. Get out of my way, I'm moving on up. The last thing I will ever do for you is wish you the best of luck. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Catch you on the flip side. Maybe we can be friends when you're not so fragile. When you know yourself well, somewhere down the sweet line. When I do things for me, 'cause I don't wanna be a therapy, I wanna be free. So, ooh, gotta go and grab a stool now. Ooh, make a life for myself. Ooh, I don't know what I'ma do now. Ooh, but I don't need your help. Get out of my way, I'm moving on up. Don't make me stay, I'm done being stuck. Get out of my way, I'm moving on up. The last thing I will ever do for you is wish you the best of luck. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, I know, you know, it's time you let me go. Don't call, don't follow, 'cause I'll do fine on my own. I know, you know, it's time I let you go. Don't call, don't follow, 'cause I'll be gone. Get out of my way, I'm moving on up. Don't make me stay, I'm done being stuck. Get out of my way, I'm moving on up. The last thing I will ever do for you is wish you the best of luck. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la la. Get out of my way, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la la. Get out of my way.
Meghan's marrying into a family which has, to put it mildly, a dodgy track record on race. It's not Meghan Markle's problem, it's their problem.
All right, today we're going to talk about how we can find out and how much we can find out and what it takes to get there. So first we have to decide how much do we want to find out. So let's say in this case, I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph, and I come horizontally to my gradient line. Where it intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. That there is going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out. So I hope this lesson is helpful. Thank you.